Hey
Hello,
guys! Hi!
hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Voice It Show. This is our 40th episode, and man, does it feel good to be back
Yeah,
with you all and in this little setup and on the screen again. So it's really fantastic, and it's been a wonderful time. How about you, Funky?
oh, I mean, I'm gonna say the same. It's been wow.
It's
Yeah,
been really wow, and what an exciting time. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And like always, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and do that. And thank you for supporting the show. And it's been a lovely, lovely time doing this. And a special shout out to
yeah.
our
Special
patrons.
shout out goes to Anders Lindholm, Adam Gorak, Shelly O'Neill, Chris Vickery, and of course, Laurie Sandoval. Thank you guys.
And if you want your name up that Voice It Show wall of gratitude, then you can support us on Patreon. Link is in the description. And thank you so much, people. And without any further ado, shall we get going with our guest? It's going to be
Yeah,
awesome. And we're excited. And today we're honored to have with us the legendary British guitarist, singer, songwriter, record producer, the Blues Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Norman Beaker. Since early 70s, Mr. Beaker has been involved in the British blues scene, having toured and recorded with blues rock stars like Jack Bruce, Buddy Guy, B.B. King, Fenton Robinson, Van Morrison, and many other. The Beaker Band, the Norman Beaker Band, is the epitome of blues music. Norman has also gigged extensively with Victor Brooks, and he also appeared on Granada TV's show So It Goes.
yeah, that's right. And Norman has also worked with Jimmy Rogers, Buddy Guy, Lowell Fulson, Fenton Robinson, Chuck Berry, Katie Webster, and the list goes on and on. And even B.B. King complimented Norman, saying, I think we found a white Freddy King. Also, one of the
Mhm.
coolest moments from Norman's career is when Eric Clapton covered one of Norman's songs called Break It Down for a radio session. Norman and his band are a huge inspiration to everyone who loves blues and music, and even rock stars like Larry Garner call on Norman and his band to have given them their unique style of modern day blues. And for his phenomenal work over decades, Norman Baker was inducted into the legendary Blues Hall of Fame in 2017, alongside the likes of Eric Clapton, Mick Jagger, Jeff Beck, just to name a few.
True. In 2020, Norman Beaker released a brand new album called Running Down the Clock, which celebrates the genres that have influenced Norman over the last 50 years, including rock, blues, jazz, gospel, etc. Mr. Norman Beaker has kept his signature sound alive throughout his career, whether playing solo or with the virtuosos of blues and genres alike, and he continues to rock the stage even today. And it's our exceptional honor to have Mr. Beaker with us today on the Voice It Show. Would you please welcome the legendary Mr. Norman Beaker?
Hi.
Hello!
Wow.
Hello,
I don't believe I
welcome.
was so old.
My God. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Beaker. It's such an honor.
Norman, no, not Mr. Beaker, not Norman. It's
Not Mr.
Oh,
Beaker. Okay, Norman. Thank you so much. And it's really fun to have you. And what a
good to be
pleasure.
here.
Thank you so much once again.
Good to be with you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And we like to go back to the beginning.
Uh,
To Funky, you want to go ahead with the questions, or should I?
yeah, sure. So,
Cool.
tell us, when did you start playing music and realize, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do for a living?
well, yeah, I didn't start to be a musician, if you want. It just when you get more and more gigs, just when you're playing as a hobby, eventually you realise you haven't got time to do anything else, and that's what happened. But I started when playing guitar when I was about 7 years old, something like that, and I had a road accident and I couldn't walk for a couple of years. So my dad bought me a guitar because there was nothing. I had to stay in bed. I mean, I'd like that now, but then it wasn't very good as a kid.
Yeah.
So I used to just lie there and play the guitar basically, and that was it. And so I wasn't that good, but it was something to do. You know, it took me a long time to learn because at that time there weren't many guitar players. So, well, you know, they were all like sort of a bit mundane ones, if you like, you know, not like, so like now you can go on, you know, look on YouTube and see somebody and go, well, yeah, he's good. Then we had to learn bit by bit, you know, learn one chord every 3 weeks. So, but that's how it started. And then I won a talent show, which I think I won mainly because I was so small.
Oh.
Wow.
So cute. Let's make him win, you know. And the prize was 10 shillings, which would be about 50 pence now, half a pound.
Wow.
That was the prize. And a spot on the Lonnie Donegan show, who was the king of what we called skiffle music at the time. And so, and then he had a TV show, and I did a few things around that, and then I was sort of hooked. But I didn't really ever think I'd do it as a job. You know? I just that crept up on me, really.
Wow. And what music would you listen to during those times?
At the
We
time,
were talking about 70s, right?
The 50s, 60s is when I first. I mean, I was listening. I still remember songs. I hate to say this to somebody of your ages, but I can still remember the words to songs from 50 years ago, 60 years ago. You know, Tommy Steele, Elvis Presley, Billy Fury, Ricky Nelson, and then people like that. But I was always, funnily enough, when you go on holiday as a kid, we used to have like a recording booth, and you could go in and make a record, a metal record. And I went in and just sang a song, which was terrible. It was like with a plastic guitar and me, you know, it was really like not good. But the song I sang was Singing the Blues, which is really weird because it wasn't really a blues song. But that was the first thing I ever recorded, Singing the Blues. But then after that, it was the 60s. It was the Stones, that kind of thing, the Pretty Things, the Stones, the Yardbirds. And that's been one of the best bits for me, is I got to play with so many of the people who I used to buy the records of. And so people, it must be great, Norman, doing this. And I'm saying, no, you tell me your stories. You know, I'm more interested in what they were doing. You know, a friend of mine who passed away last year was in Freddy and the Dreamers, who were looked on as a sort of a bit of a novelty band. Well, they went to #1 in America, and whenever he saw me, he said, "Oh, Norman, where have you been?" I told him, I said, "I want to know what it was like when you first went to the States." You know, and they've got amazing stories. You know, and they did things we would never get the chance to do as well. But they're still interested in what you do, which is nice, you know. So, and I'm happy to say I'm about 9 years younger than everyone like that, like Paul Jones and people like that. So,
wow.
I still feel like a baby, which is quite good. I might not look like one, but I feel like one.
Nah, come on, you are. So, you know what? Whoever comes on the VoiceIt show, they are just our age. So,
okay. Yeah. I'm probably below that age, but
that's awesome. I like that. So, speaking of these legends like BB King and Buddy Guy, and of course, for our generation, we have only seen them through pictures or videos, but you have actually played with them, and I can only imagine how phenomenal that must have been.
Absolutely.
I'd like to know what are the things that you have learned from these legends when you were working with them, and so that our generation could inculcate those things within us.
Yeah, the one thing they have is an amazing work ethic They work so hard. I mean, Honey Boy Edwards that I mentioned before, he was one of the last people who knew Robert Johnson, for instance. And I saw him when he was about 84, something like that, at a festival. And I said to him, How are you? And he goes, "Oh, I've not been so good. I had my spleen taken away last week." And I thought, what? He's had a major operation and now he's back gigging. They're just amazing that they put so much effort in. They travel worldwide. When most people, they bless him. Yeah, nice.
King.
That was at the Free Trade Hall in Manchester. That was whenever I was a kid and I went to see a band, it was always at the Free Trade Hall. And I never played there until that night. And it was one of the last nights it was open. They closed it. So I just managed to play there. It was great. But he was so lovely. And then that was when I was with Johnny Mars and we were playing alongside BB King. And then later, when I did some stuff in Europe with him, when his guitar player was ill or whatever. But they're very modest guys. And BB, when he died, I was asked by a few radio stations to do, obituaries on him and stuff. And they said, "Well, you must have learned so much from him." And I said, "Well, actually, the best thing I learned from him," he said, "is when we finish a gig, say we play in Manchester, we finish that night, we drive to the next gig straight after the show and stay the next gig and stay in the hotel there." He said, "Then when you wake up, you're always there. You're always at the place you want to be. Because when you finish the gig, you're always a bit hyper, aren't you? So it's a good time to stay awake. And then in the morning, you don't have to get up early because you're already there." So it wasn't a musical thing. It was a way of dealing with gigs, But he did say one time when we did Hammersmith Odeon, which was massive and it was packed, and he did 2 nights there. And I said, "It must be incredible for you to do this." And he said, "Well, we just pick up another few people each time." I mean, they're really modest about it. But he really was very, very respectful for English people, English bands, musicians, because he knew that really no one would have heard of him without people like Peter Green and people like that. So, but he didn't forget that. He always remembered that it was the British people that helped him, And so it's like Robert Plant said when he did a gig in New Orleans, and Larry Garner was telling me, and he said, Robert went on stage and he said, "It's amazing, isn't it?" He said, "You gave us the blues, and we brought it back to you, and look how much more it's costing you now."
Wow, God. That's a full circle.
So that was it. But yes, Buddy Guy was great. But I worked with a lot of his people around it, like Carey Bell, who Muddy Waters. Well, he had a whole band of sons who were a fantastic band, the Bell family. And I played with them for a while. And Carey Bell was amazing harmonic, absolutely incredible. But a funny story. We did a live session with him for the Paul Jones show. And a friend of mine who was a harmonica player said, "Can I come and watch? Can I come and watch?" I said, "Well, all right, but it's recording for the radio, so don't be, getting in the way and stuff." "Yeah, okay." And he came down, and Carey always had this thing at the end. He used to go, like Woody Woodpecker on the harmonica. He used to play. It's like a signature tune. And he said, "Carey," he said, "can I ask you a question?" He said, "Yeah, man, go." He said, "You know that thing you do at the end?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "How do you do that?" He said, "Do you want to know how I do that?" He said, "Yes, please." He said, "Have you got money?" He said, "No." He said, "I show you." He was great. He was brilliant. I loved him. Yeah, he was great. Most of them, Phil Guy, Buddy's brother, I played with lots and lots of times, but he was fantastic. In fairness, his guitar playing, I actually really enjoyed. I can't say better than, but he was, without being his brother, he would have been really famous. Phil Guy, great singer. Really good. But there's so many of them, like Lowell Fulson was the songs that he wrote, incredible. I mean, on stage with him sometimes it's quite repetitive, but the songs were, I mean? And it was funny because usually I'm playing a lot of solos with most of them, but he always just played all the solos. I was just like,
right.
One day he said, "No," but I went, "Oh shit!" I forgot what I was supposed to be doing.
Wow.
But the English ones too. I mean, the English ones. People like, obviously go for the American ones, but the English ones like Alexis, Jack Bruce, people like that were in Van Morrison. They're all. I mean, the one with Van, because Van is very sort of quiet and doesn't do publicity and doesn't do very much, And people think that that's him being like, I don't care, When I don't think he just wants to play that game, I don't think he's interested. He does his music, he goes home, and that's it. But I have a great time because we both fans of old British comedy things, so we have lots in common. We always have a great laugh with him, So most very few people who have not got along with very few, considering from so many different backgrounds, So it's been great to meet the people, certainly.
Absolutely. And you brought a little comedy to blues as well, so that's your touch.
Yeah, but I don't. It's when I play solos, people laugh. I go, "No, not yet." That's important. I really think that's important because blues is a serious music, and I take it very serious when I'm playing, as you would vouch for. Funky, you'd say that, wouldn't you? I take it quite seriously. But she's not saying anything. But in between, no, then it's why not have some fun? I don't think you can listen to intense music all the time. You need that safety valve, don't you, just to relax and feel, we're having a good time as well, entertainment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think entertainment is the
very
thing
much so.
Fans miss. But that's what, if I'd have wanted to be anything, I would have liked to have been what we would say as an entertainer. You know what I mean? Like I don't mean a comedian, but in that sort of, when we used to play working men's clubs in England, which everybody hated doing, I absolutely loved them, because I didn't have any snob value about the music at all. So you get somebody doing Frank Sinatra songs, and you get some comedian, and then you get a dancer and all that. And I loved it. I watched them all. I've got even now, when I go in a theatre, I still go, wow, always. Even though but it still has that effect on me, So the showbiz thing I like, oh, that was a big one. Yeah, you don't get much bigger than that one. Yeah, that was that was funny. That it was. I'd never played there, at all, and then I played there 3 nights, one after the other, which was really weird, And then I played it 4 times after that. So yeah, that was quite. But we did it with Van to set up the gear in very small spaces, even though it's a massive place, like a club, sort of. So even though the stage was massive, we were all really quite cramped up, Chris came on in his usual self, and he comes out, he goes, "It's bloody hot in here," First thing to say at the album. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, there you go. The first thing to say.
That's Chris Farlow, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's funny. Great singer. One of the best. I mean, he was. Otis Redding got him on his show, in England. He had a special, an hour special, and he got Eric Burdon and Chris on it, so which takes a bit of doing, Great singer, fantastic singer, yeah.
Absolutely. And you guys,
he never gets.
You guys, sorry, yeah.
I don't know why he doesn't.
Yeah.
You guys tour a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Chris Farlow and Larry Garner.
Yeah. I love touring. Awesome. I really like it, and I think this is a bit special at the moment because of the pandemic thing. We had maybe 100 shows that were cancelled, so we're trying to catch up now, and we're catching up a lot quicker than we would have done the first time round. You know, I think we've got another 62 to go. I think something like
My
that.
God.
In 19 countries. I know that. So
Awesome.
yeah, but well, we're getting through them bit by bit. We start again on Sunday
Sure.
in the Netherlands.
Right. Right. And how does it feel to, get back on stage after all this pandemic and lockdown stuff?
Do you know, I was surprised with that because, first of all, I thought, how's the stamina going to hold out? You know, if you've had a long break,
Yeah.
it's a bit like football or whatever. You can have practice matches, but it's the gig where you're working harder. And it didn't bother me
Right.
at all. I don't know why. It just didn't, you know, and it didn't bother any of us. In fact, I think we'd saved a lot of energy up. We had more than we'd used to have. I mean, not in the morning. Not in the morning. People always say, I can't believe how, you know, how powerful it was and how dynamic. I say, well, have a look in the morning. Come and see us in the morning. You might have a different on Zimmer phone.
Amazing.
It was just, I don't know what a lot of people think about this, but it was just like it never happened, almost. We played the last gig,
Wow.
which to me felt like, when we went back playing, felt like it was the day before. It was just like that bit didn't exist, and then it started again. I mean, it's a much bigger pass than it used to be because of the flying, you know, and the rules, and
Right.
each country's got a different law, and you never know for certain that you've got all the papers in order. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
That is a pain, and the airports are obviously a lot more hard work now than they used to be. And that's the only thing really I don't like is the airports. I don't mind the actual flying; it's the messing in the airports. But driving the bus, when we go in the bus as a band, we have a good laugh. You know, it's with the four of us, you know, so 3 in the band and Nabosha, you know, the manager. We have a really good laugh.
Yeah.
Any funny incident do you remember from the airports?
Oh, I can remember that when I went through the last time, and she said, "Have you got any proof of vaccination?" So I rolled my sleeve up and I said, "Look."
Wow.
Oh my God!
The guitars have gone to different countries. You know, we were in Milan and my guitars were in Paris. You know, things like that. There's lots of things like that. I mean,
God, that's amazing.
We tried just to get through it, and it's another one though. It's once you've been through all that, and you get on the plane, you sit there, and it's like that didn't happen then. You know, it's just while you're doing up and the walking around and stuff. This is endless, you know. And then once you've done it, and you're on the plane, you say, here we go.
Yeah.
Holidays are here again. Only 60 gigs to go. Holiday time.
Oh, only.
Actually, only, yeah. That's a blessing as well. And one of your 2 legs took you to Sarajevo.
Yeah.
And
oh, there she is. Who's that lovely man?
Oh.
Looks like I've got big red ears.
Come on.
Look like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
she
so
doesn't she on that, I have to say.
Because we showed this picture, I have to so we have questions from our audience, and there's a question from my friend Almir Ismaili, and he wants to know, how was your experience in Sarajevo?
It was great. I mean, it was we know that gig a lot. We played it a good few times now, so we always enjoy it there, because the minute we go through the door, the first question is, "Do you want a beer?" So that always makes us like it. Anyone does that with their band, you know, that's it. So that was good. The fans were really good. You were there, weren't you? Funky.
Yeah.
Saying
4 nights in a row.
4 nights on the row. Yeah, she likes to
4
suffer,
nights.
that girl, don't you? You like to suffer.
No, I wasn't suffering. That was honestly the best experience I've ever had. You know, really great music. You know, great performance. Your live performances and music in general are wow. I mean, I can't even explain how good you are. And even till this day, I listen to you guys every day, so I'm hooked. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the band is that I think everybody likes all of them. You know, I don't. You know, like sometimes you get somebody in a band where the singer's popular, but the rest aren't, or he is, the drummer is, or whatever. But I think without that, everybody quite likes everybody, so it makes it a little bit more of a team thing. I think, you know. I mean, obviously, I'm the best, but I mean that's.
We're talking about the Norman Beaker trio.
There we go. Yeah. Well, I'm the tall one in the middle.
Yeah.
Rob Price, the bass player, on my right, and Leo and Jelkovic on drums from sunny Istria. He lives in Zagreb, which is where we did the album. We recorded it in Zagreb.
Running the clock.
Yeah.
Running down the clock, sorry.
That was great as well, because that's in Zagreb. And it was where there was an earthquake. And it sort of commemorates that when the time when it stopped on the clock. So it was quite quite a good symbolic thing, really. But it was a great, because it's Leo's studio that we worked in, we recorded it in. And Leo was saying, "Oh, we'll start at lunchtime." And I'm used to really wanting to get on and start, you know. And Leo, "Oh no, we'll just start at 1 o'clock." Or something. Well, no. And we got everything done just as well, just the same. It was great, and he's a really good, you know, really good engineer as well as producer. I produce, he produces, John produces. So it was quite good. It was very, very much a team thing, you know. I mean, considering Leo is really into the heavy stuff as much as anybody, you know, certainly more than I am, but he's into that.
True.
Yeah, true.
Styles, you know. But what was nice is that he brought a different thing to the band as well, you know, in recording it. I mean, the last album before that was a lot more melodic-y, you know, sort of blues. This is a lot more.
We see us later.
Yeah, this is a little bit. But funnily enough, the Lady of the Moon track that's on there, which is probably the most relaxed of them.
Yeah, true.
Is the one Leo said, "Oh, can't we do that?" Because I was going to do that. And so we've all got varying tastes, but they always, you know, they sort of meet. And it's not often you can do that, to be honest. You know, once in a few times, you get 3 people whose sort of consciousness works and no one's stepping on anybody's toes. Everybody's just watching what's going on and just playing together, you know, really. I mean, we don't know what we're going to do a lot of the time, as you've seen, you know, but it's sort of, I hate to say organic, but you know what I mean? It sort of happens, you know.
True.
Naturally,
It's not that well known to do that, you know.
True. And you guys got done that album within a very short amount of time, 3 or 4 days?
I think we recorded it, the actual playing, maybe 3 days, 4 days for 18 tracks. But so then we spent a few days mixing and stuff, and a few, you know, we messed with it for a few days after that. Yeah. And it's just one of those things. It's, again, you know, I did an album in the 80s in the studio, which we called Cavalier in Stockport, where I live. And it was quite small and not very, you know, expensive or whatever. But we just got this amazing sound. And that's where the instant came from, you know. So you can go to a really big studio and you just don't get the vibe, you know. And you go to other places that, you know, are not so plush and stuff, but they just get the gutsy sound that we like, you know. Because we like to try and create a bit of live sound, you know.
Right.
So that when we go to play it live, you're not disappointed.
But truly, it's a really phenomenal album, folks. You got to check out Running Down the Clock. It's phenomenal. And obviously, go to normanbeaker.com and you can get it from there as well.
Yeah, you can get it anywhere. Yeah, it's on everything.
So, Awesome. And, you know, the name itself, now I want to talk about your name. So, Norman Beaker, the Beaker was actually bestowed on you.
That's
What's that story?
It was the singer Victor Brox, who was in Ainsley Dunbar Retaliation and various things, who was a good friend of mine. And I was in his band for quite a long while, and I learned a lot from Victor. He was, he was very good. But we were going to a gig, and it was on November the 5th, which was Bonfire Night in England. You know, when we do that lovely thing of burning effigies and stuff. You know, that English witchcraft. And we did that, and I said to him, you know, where did you get your name? Because I know his real name was Victor Colby Hickling, right? So I said, where did you get the name? And he mentioned it because it was Bonfire Night. There was a famous fireworks company called Brock's, but it's Brocks. And he thought, well, if I put an X on the end, it'll be shorter, so it'll be bigger on a poster. Typical Victor, you know, thinking. And so that was it, Victor Brock's. So I said, I think I'll change mine. And he said, what, Norman, the only people to conquer Britain, and Beaker, he could be a direct descendant from the Beaker people, you know, which was some Neanderthal men from the north who had sort of my colouring and everything and small.
Wow.
And so the next couple of gigs we did and a TV show, he said Norman Beaker on guitar. And then I started to see the benefits. In a record near the front, near the Beatles, with Beaker. Yeah, you don't want to be Frank Zappa unless you're really good, do you? You know, because no one down the record store, do they? You know, they're exhausted. And plus, address books, you're right near everybody's address book at the front, D's. You see?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I only thought about that years later.
Smart.
Do you
somebody whose name begins with D or E? They didn't go any further through the phone book, you know. So that was that basically. Yeah. So I never even think of my other name now. I never. You know.
Right.
When I get a letter, I always think, "Oh, that's me." You know, I just don't. Because a lot of people don't even call me Norman. A lot of people call me Beaker anyway. Like, you know, hey Beaker, what are you doing later? You know, like you wouldn't like it if they call you by your surname, would you? You go, it's a bit rude. But because it's a nickname, it doesn't bother me, you know.
Wow, that's cool. Really cool. So
they couldn't say Beaker. They said Biker.
Oh.
Which I did. Hey, Norman Biker. But no, Beaker. It's I. No, it's.
Oh no.
You know, fun thing. When you search Norman Beaker on Google, the Google wants to correct you. It says, "Did you mean Baker?" No, Beaker.
Norman Baker is an American politician. Because before, you know, you don't.
Oh my God!
You know, no, Baker.
Oh my God, Baker.
It's a fun story.
The Muppets were big, and Beaker was on that, and he was a crazy guy. Oh, I'm going to get some terrible stick now. They're going to say Beaker on the Muppets.
My God, true. Yeah, I want to ask you, you know, would you please tell us 3 of your values or principles that you think have brought you this far in your life and career, and you wouldn't want to change them for anything or anyone? 3 values or principles.
Tenacity you need, determination, because when anybody starts, it's one of those things where you try to build confidence, but it's a hard thing when people don't appreciate what you're doing at the time. And so I never even noticed that people were going to see us play and walking out, and then the place was empty and stuff like that, you know. So I just got on with it. I never thought of it, you know. And now, even if it happens, and it does happen on occasions, you could play at a gig where maybe there's been a strike or something and no one's there, but we still play. Same way. You know, we just have to, because you play for one person at a time always. It could be 1,000 there or 10, but it's still only one at a time, isn't it? Listening to you. So it doesn't, you know, you owe it more to people when there's only 10 or 12 people. because you think they've taken the trouble. You really owe it to do that. So that's never bothered me. So you definitely need determination, and you need to really enjoy travel. You've got to enjoy travel. I know lots of musicians who don't, and it must be a really bad job for them, you know, when they're traveling all the time but don't like to travel. There's nothing about it other than I said, like the airports, which is a bit of a pain for anyone going on the holidays or whatever. It's not unique.
Absolutely.
But the rest of it, I like it all. I like meeting a lot of people. But when I'm not doing it, I'm quite antisocial. You know. I'll come round to see you, Norman. I'll say, I tell you what, I'll meet you in the pub. That way I can always come home. So no, I don't do that. It's both ways, you know. I like to be on my own at home, basically, as much as possible. And because you see a lot of people all the time, you need that.
True.
You know, the alternative, really. So I would say that, obviously, practicing a lot, but by practicing, people used to ask me if I practice, and I used to say no, but I was playing maybe 10 hours a day. But I was enjoying it, so I never thought I was practicing, you know? I mean, considering the length of time I've been playing and how much I played, I should be 20 times better than I am, you know, really. I mean, for putting all that effort in, you know, I should be way away, you know. I mean, I know lots of people who are fantastic players who put a tenth of that in, you know. I always think. So you need to practice away, but you've got to. The major one, I think, is to appreciate what you're doing. You know that you're lucky to be able to do it, and be sort of grateful. I mean, you know, be grateful you've got that sort of job. You know, and people have got nasty things they've got to do. You know, we complain, oh, the breakfast wasn't very good, was it, in that hotel? I was going, man, who cares, really? You know what I mean? So, you know, obviously on tour you get tired, and sometimes, you know, even your best friends, you know, you go, oh, stop it, stop moaning. You know, you get a bit of that. But it's all done like that, you know, it's in a flash. So you've also got to be accommodating. My mum used to say, you should always treat everybody the same, right? That was her thing.
Wow.
Wrong. Because not everybody is the same. So you sometimes, I mean, I've been with musicians who are very shy, and you need to give them some help.
Encouragement.
And others are too showy. You want to try and slow it down a bit. So you've got to treat everybody different, especially when you're producing albums, when you could have a lot of egos in there, and the guitar player isn't quite as good as he thought he was, and you know, but you've got to try and get the best out of them, even if you don't particularly like them. You still have to try and get the best job out of them. So you have to be adaptable. So really, I suppose they're the major ones. But you've got to be determined. No, I wasn't ambitious to be well known or famous, anything like that. I was ambitious that I wanted to play with some of these people that I got the chance to play with, and I'm happy with that, you know. I mean, people are like as I say, the English guys that I played with. I mean, Jack was probably the biggest influence. Jack Bruce was probably the biggest influence.
Jack Bruce, yeah.
And you know, he was such a phenomenal musician. You know, I mean, I used to say starting a gig with him, he's like starting with the encore. You know, at the end, start, and it's got to go up from there.
Yeah,
I loved it, and we were good together. We had some good times. Yeah. We had
wow.
Yeah, those are some wise words. Yeah.
Well, I think it's fairly. I'm surprised. The other thing is, I think nowadays, with the sort of younger bands when they're coming out, is they don't even start till they've got a CD out, if you know what I mean. You know, whereas we played years without getting an album or anything out. So you had chance to be wrong. You know, you had chance to learn without being in front of everybody. Because once you set your stall out, it's quite hard to come back from that. So say you get an album out and you're not as quite matured into it yet. You know, another year you might be fantastic, you know. And so sometimes if you only do it half well, sometimes that's all people ever remember. and you know, they don't give you another chance in a way. So it's always,
Yeah.
you know, listen
It's
to
such
people.
an important point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the disadvantage, because now, like yourself, if you wanted to get somebody on, you'd say, "Have you got a CD? Have you got this? Have you got that?" You know, well,
Yeah.
that's goes, and we say, "No." Have you got this? No. You know, so they have
Yeah.
to play, or that was it, really. You know, so it was a slow, much slower process. But I think
True.
I'm quite happy that it worked that way. Actually, now, you know, at the time,
True.
it'd be a bit.
True.
But I think you'd get a better background in the music of what you're
Right.
doing, instead of going for
Right.
write this because we need one of those. You know, if you just
Right.
let things flow a bit. I mean, now I'm enjoying it most probably of ever. You know, because the trio, I really
True.
love it because it's so adaptable. We know every night we could play something totally different, and
Right.
that's really invigorating. And having three different sorts of players is great.
Right.
John has been with me
It's amazing.
for I don't know, 30 years or so. You know, so long time to be with one man. Sonny Terry said that about Brownie McGee. He said, I said to Sonny Terry, you know, how long have you been together? He said, been together about 55 years. It's a long time to be with one man.
Oh. So
I just got a picture of you and Jack Bruce.
Yeah, and
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Kim Nishikawara.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just joined Coliseum now as well. Yeah, so he's
amazing.
a great player. He was with Michael Bublé as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Great, fantastic.
So cool.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I had a question regarding what you said earlier. Tell me, what all has changed in music since the 50s, 60s?
What the marketing probably is what's changed the most, and plus recently, of course, which I quite like this. People often say about the digital things, you know, and I think it's been good for bands. I don't believe this. Oh, it's killed it. I think there's a lot of bands now that you can hear on YouTube or you know that you would never have heard of before. We can get on YouTube just as easy as the Beatles.
Yeah.
Right.
That could never happen before. You know, it was the TV companies. If you weren't in with that was it. So I think younger bands now say there's a lot out there. Well, there is a lot out there, but there always was a lot. But the TV's only picked so many, and so what you're doing by bringing this different stuff is you're giving everyone a chance.
Yeah.
I don't think people at all. You know, like people say about with Spotify things like that, they don't earn much off it, but they earn the publicity of it, and it's where your status is. If somebody said to me, "Oh, the new album's out. Is it on Spotify?" Right? And what if I said no? They'd say, "Oh, like, why not?"
Yeah.
And if I said there's not enough money in it, they go, "Yeah, right." Yeah, it's just because you're not on. You know, so you have to be in everything. I mean, I would rather if somebody's phoned me up one time from a record label that I've done some work with, and they put a compilation together with John Lee Hooker, B.B. King, Buddy Guy, and me, right, on this album. And so this guy said, "Do you get paid for that?" I said, "I don't care if I get paid for that. Why would I care if I got paid for that when I'm in with all those top guys? That's the payment."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a very short
big thing. Yeah.
Because people say, "Have you seen that Norman's on this thing with John Lee Hooker and everyone?" That's worth any amount of money in publicity.
Billions. Yes. Yeah.
And credibility, you know. And
so very much.
Yeah.
So very much.
Yeah. If you can afford to live, you're all right, aren't you? Basically, you know. I mean, once you've got me Mercedes and everything out, you know, that's different. But
yeah, in fact, this whole interview is going to be that one moment for us. You know, we interviewed Mr. Norman. So.
Oh no, it's been great. We've not finished, have we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's gone quick.
Gosh.
Well, I have to mention, I'm listening to you guys both on Spotify, YouTube, so it's definitely worth it, being out there.
You've got to be out there.
Mhm.
It's in years gone by. They used to have booths in record shops. I don't know if they still have them now. They don't have many record shops anymore, do they? But I used to go in, put your headphones on, and listen to a track of it. That's Spotify. That's the same thing.
Right.
You can't. It's not like you can download them unless you pay for it. So, I'm not singing their praises. There's lots of them. That Spotify is just one that came to mind. But if your stuff's getting out there, that's what's important. Because for me, we sell more stuff live on concerts in Germany and stuff like that than you would in shops anyway. So if people hear you, they don't watch you live, and then they buy it there instead. So it works. For me. Yeah, I think anything where you get, it's not the publicity for the ego thing; it's the publicity to get what you work out there.
Right.
It's no good having the best food in the world and then keeping it in the back room, is it? It needs to be in the front where people can see it. So
true.
The same thing for music,
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be the best guitar player in my back room.
Okay, so guys, since we will have to end this earlier today,
amazing.
I want to ask Connor, do you have any last questions?
Oh yeah.
Before we go.
I do have in fact, I'd like to request Norman that, in future, would you like to join us for a part 2?
Certainly, yeah. There's a lot. When you get someone as old as me, you get a few parts, don't you, really?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah. You'll have to come to the gig next time in the 17th of November.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah, you have to get there. Get in there.
Yeah.
Hopefully so.
Well, I wish Kana could be there too, but like he's on the other side of the world in India. So
I'm in India, so I'm in India.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to think I would be in India.
Literally on the other side.
Yeah, that's a long way to
come
for a gig, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I wish I see you someday. Okay. So yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you for everything.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely. And before you leave, I want to ask you, for people who are watching right now, and what are the words of advice that you want to give to any aspiring musician who looks forward to walk on the path of music, pursue music, and who's your fan? So
right, who's what I think for anybody to get up now and play is great, and playing blues is particularly good for that, because you don't have to be a genius. You can play it basically, you can play it tricky, you can do anything, but still get something going. So for me, blues was a great way to get someone into music. You just improve it. So I would just say, just do what I said, keep practicing, but you've got to enjoy it all the time, not keep putting the guitar down going, I didn't get that right, I didn't get this right, being bad-tempered. You just have to stick at it. But if you love it, it's no problem. It's not work, is it?
True.
You like your job, you never work a day in your life.
Such a big sentence, or there's such a big statement. Absolutely. And that's really fantastic. And we have had an amazing time with you today.
Great,
so thank you so much for joining us today on the VoiceIt show. And folks, this has been Mr. Norman Beaker on the VoiceIt show. Thanks a lot. And before we sign off, these are Norman's socials. So please go follow him on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and obviously go buy the new album from normanbeaker.com. And all the other links are in the description of this video. So please check those out as well. And thank you so much for
Thank
giving
you.
us your time and sharing your stories with us.
My
It's
pleasure.
been a lovely, lovely time.
My
I'm
Yeah.
pleasure.
sorry we hate to cut the short today, but definitely we're gonna
Glad to,
have a
anyways,
part
my
two
pleasure.
in the future.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You
It's
do
been
that.
so nice to talk to you
My
again, and
pleasure.
I can't wait to see you in November again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right. See you.
So thank you everyone. Keep on rocking and ciao for now.
Ciao.
Ciao
See
for
ya.
now.